I call to order the meeting of the Verona Plan Commission for Monday, April 7th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We'll begin with the roll.
Commissioner Harrison?
Here.
Commissioner Wood? Here. Commissioner Powers?
Here.
Mayor Diaz?
Here.
Commissioner Touche?
I'm here.
Alder Posey?
Here.
And Commissioner Hankard.
Here.
All right, we have quorum, so we can proceed. We will go to item 3, which is public comment. If any members of the public wish to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Good evening. Is this on? Yeah, good, thank you. Connor Nett with the applicant of Sugar Creek Commons Phase 3, here to share comments on the West Verona Avenue project for 511 for a mixed-use project. Just providing some background, at the January 13th Common Council meeting, the previous application was denied, so we're coming back with a revised plan this evening for a mixed-use project. The project includes 4,200 square feet of commercial space fronting West Verona Avenue, 2 live-work units, including 1,300 square feet of commercial space that could be office or a storefront along West Verona Avenue, and then 114 multifamily units. Overall, the project is very similar architecturally and land use-wise to Sugar Creek Commons Buildings B and C. They were completed in 2022, and they're the location of the Bogey Factory, FDG office, and JSD office. The concept plan before you this evening includes a drive-through for that potential commercial space in this concept plan. We've received interest from several financial institutions, both in the current buildings B and C, but for them it's important to have a drive-through for an ATM, so this accommodates a remote drive-through ATM lane. So in general, we're excited about this mixed-use concept plan that we have this evening. Happy to hear any comments that you might have, and this is one of the last steps to getting the project hopefully under construction this fall. Financing is ready to go, so if we can move through entitlements, we're looking at groundbreaking this fall, which would be great. Appreciate the opportunity to provide a little bit of feedback, and will be available during this agenda item if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to comment, now would be the time to do so.
Hi. Well, that's embarrassing. It can only go downhill from here. No, my name is Keith Dickinson. I'm owner or co-owner of the land that is just south of the proposed SSM property that's going to be talked about. And so I come to you knowing nothing about how things work, but am interested in knowing more about how things work. We have the properties right now on the market, and I understand from our realtor that they do have some interest in the land, but it doesn't seem to be zoned properly for the purposes that people are interested in it for. So we're really excited about SSM going in. We do have some concerns about what would happen to Valley Road, or if that's going to impact Valley Road, because we're right on the other side of Valley Road from that property. Yeah, and that's about all I had to say. I didn't really plan on getting up here, but since you opened it up, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no one else approaching the microphone, we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of minutes from the March 3rd, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions to approve the minutes? Commissioner Powers.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Powers. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Harrison. Last chance for corrections. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the March 3rd, 2025 Plan Commission meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 5, which is regarding the zoning map amendment for the 20.6 acres to suburban commercial located east of 7278 Valley Road. Mr. Severson, can we get a brief overview before we open the public hearing on this topic?
Yeah, so this public hearing is for the zoning and map amendment for the 20.6 acres of land that's part of the SSM property. And that's being proposed to go from a rural agricultural district to suburban commercial, which would allow for the proposed use.
Thank you. With that, I will move that we open the public hearing on this topic. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Woods. All those in favor of opening the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we're in the public hearing at 6:36 PM on this topic. If anyone wishes to speak directly on the zoning map amendment regarding the conversion of 20.6 acres to suburban commercial on the property east of 7278 Valley Road, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no one else approaching the microphone, I will move that we close the public hearing on this topic. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Hankard. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the public hearing is closed at 6:36 PM. Mr. Severson.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting annexation of approximately 140 acres, certified survey map to create 3 lots and 1 outlot, and a zoning map amendment located west of State Highway 69, south of US Highway 18151, and north of Valley Road. The area in red shows areas within the current city limits. The area outlined in blue is subject to the CSM, and the area in yellow is the area subject to the rezoning request, which we just had the public hearing for. This exhibit shows the existing municipal boundary in blue, with the areas currently within the municipal limits highlighted in blue. And then to the south in yellow is the area proposed to be annexed. You'll notice it not only includes the parcel owned by SSM, but also the right-of-way, adjoining right-of-way. The proposed CSM divides the property into 3 lots and 1 outlot. So going from west to east, the green lot that is not currently planned for development. The yellow lot is property that's being dedicated to the city for the purposes of a water tower. The red area is subject to the current rezoning request, so that would be rezoned to suburban commercial. And then the blue area is intended for, it's an outlot, and it's intended for stormwater, private stormwater. Upon annexation, the entire property would be zoned rural agricultural. The proposed zoning amendment would rezone Lot 1 and Outlot 1 to suburban commercial. And that's consistent with our comprehensive plan. For reference, this is just showing the entire property owned by SSM with the previously approved site plan kind of superimposed on the site, just to give you a reference for just how large the site is in relation to Valley Road. Staff is supportive of the requests and recommend approval of the requests, subject to the conditions found on page 11 of the staff report. So whenever you're ready to make a motion, yeah, please refer to the recommendation on page 11.
Sorry.
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. I guess I have 2 questions. One, can you talk about a little bit about what's going to happen to Valley View? And then 2, just, I guess, a general direction. If you could reach out to the public speaker sometime this week just to answer any questions he might have.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So currently, Valley View is, or I should say the access point from 69 to Valley is controlled by Wisconsin Department of Transportation. And as such, any future development that would use that access point would have to be reviewed by WSDOT. And as part of this development, overall development, they were required to do a transportation TIA. So, and as part of that, it is recommended that at some point, access at that location is going to get to the point where Wisconsin Department of Transportation is going to recommend or going to require that that access point be moved further south. And that's in line with their requirements for really any access point that's a certain distance away from the on-ramps and associated with 18151. So eventually, development will get to the point where they'll want that to be moved further south. This development by itself did not trigger that, but at some point it will. And I don't know if Carla, our city engineer, has any other kind of information that might be helpful.
Yeah, so there was the traffic impact analysis was developed for the SSM, and as part of that, they established how much additional traffic could be added to that intersection before it would need to shift further south, as Lucas mentioned. In terms of improvements, SSM, so it's a rural kind of agricultural type road right now. So it will, on the north side of the road, so on the SSM side, it will be converted to an urban roadway section. So it'll be a typical lane, a bike lane. There's going to be a terrace graded for a sidewalk. Eventually, a sidewalk will be put in. It will be at a later phase, partially because we do know that this intersection is going to move. So we're trying to balance kind of the improvements that we're requiring and sort of like trying to manage that time frame so that we're not having them install that and then having to shift it in 3, 4, 5 years. So for now, that's what's happening on the north side. Because the road is rural, the profile itself is just, wasn't designed to any standard, so there's some improvements being made there too. So the south part of the road will also be improved as well, but it's just going to be kind of the basic, it's going to look like a rural road still. It'll have ditches, it's not going to have curb and gutter and things like that. So it'll be just improved to kind of the minimum extent possible.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, or motions on 5A? Alder Posey.
I'll make a motion that we recommend the Common Council approve the annexation of approximately 140 acres from the town of Verona to the city of Verona.
Motion by Alder Posey. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Touche. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? I just have one general comment. And I've mentioned this before, I just don't want it to get lost. And I know it's not a subject for today, but I would really like it if we could connect into the Military Ridge Trail from this property and bring it down to Valley View. I think that'd be a great connection for the city and the area. I know that's not on the table today, but I would like everyone to keep that in mind if possible. Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending to the Common Council to approve the annexation of approximately 140 acres from the town of Verona to the city of Verona, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We'll move on to 5B, which is discussion and possible action regarding the zoning map amendment for 20.6 acres of land to suburban commercial located east of 7278 Valley Road. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Powers.
I can take the long one here. I recommend the Common Council approve the zoning map amendment to rezone approximately 20.6 acres to suburban commercial and maintain the remaining 73.3 acres as rural agricultural located west of the State Highway 69, south of US Highway 151, and north of Valley Road with the following conditions. A, the approval shall become effective upon annexation of the property, and B, the approval shall become effective upon approval of a certified survey map, providing the necessary land dedications for roads and utilities.
Motion by Commissioner Powers. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Harrison. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the zoning map amendment for 20.6 acres of land to suburban commercial located east of 7278 Valley Road with the conditions specified in the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we'll move on to 5C, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the certified survey map to create 3 lots and 1 outlot located west of County Highway 69, south of US Highway 18151, and north of Valley Road. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Wood.
I'll motion to recommend the Common Council approve the certified survey map to create 3 lots and 1 outlot with the following condition. Approval shall become effective upon annexation of the property. The approval shall become effective upon the execution of a development agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Wood. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Haggard, I think. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Posey.
I'll just share for anyone who's here who's wondering about our process. This is kind of towards the, and we've had a couple of other meetings prior to this discussing this project. So I think we've had minimal discussion this evening about this because we know a lot of the pieces of this project already. So there are some other resources that you can look into about the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it did feel really fast considering how big of a decision it is for the city. But we have talked about it a lot, so. But if someone wants to talk further, we are still discussing the motion on the certified survey map. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving of recommending to the council to approve the certified survey map to create 3 lots and 1 outlot located west of County Highway 69, south of US Highway 18151, and north of Valley Road with the conditions specified in the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 6, which is a discussion and possible action regarding final plot review for 54 lots and 6 outlots located in the Ardent Glen subdivision. Mr. Severson.
One more thing, I just wanted to ask the question. I know Alder Posey did the motion for the annexation request. Do we know who did the second on
I
that?
believe it was Commissioner Touche.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yes, item 6.
Great. The applicant is proposing to create 54 single-family and twin home lots and 6 outlots north of County Highway PD and west of Shady Oak Lane. The, the overall preliminary plat for Ardent Glen was approved in December of 2022, which included the area shown here highlighted in blue. The project is being constructed in phases, so the initial final plat only included the first 102 lots, which is, you'll see here as outlined in yellow. The final plat currently requested is titled First Addition to Ardent Glen, and this area is highlighted in green. The first addition to Ardent Glen was reviewed by staff and AECom. We had some comments, and those were addressed by the applicant, and staff has no concerns and recommends approval. I'll go further on, and that's that portion. And then, as noted in the report, between the time the Common Council approved the final plat for Phase 1 and the time the final plat was recorded, staff administratively approved 2 additional outlots shown in green here. So the top is showing the original, and then the bottom is showing the two green outlots. So the two new outlots were intended for fencing and signage. And by creating the two outlots, those areas were allowed to be owned and maintained by the homeowners association rather than the city. Originally, the outlots were being dedicated to the city for the purposes of stormwater, and stormwater is still able to be accommodated on those outlots. But in addition, the city doesn't want the responsibility of owning and maintaining areas where there's fencing and signage. So those were separated out. And in order to clean up this matter, staff recommends the Plan Commission recommend Common Council confirmation or confirming the planning staff administrative approval for a minor amendment. I think that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Harrison.
I'll make a motion to recommend that the Common Council confirms the planning staff administrative approval for a minor adjustment to the Ardent Glen subdivision final plat.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Wood, I think. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Oh, Alder Posey.
So we're right now just approving the two outlots, or are we doing the final plat at this point? That's why I just wanted some clarification. It sort of felt like
Yep.
we tagged that in there,
Yep.
and, yeah,
So,
thank you.
one case report and then two separate motions. So the motion right now is just to confirm that the Plan Commission and Council are in agreement with staff's decision to create those two outlots. So that's the only matter.
Thank you.
It's good to be sure, though.
Yep.
Other questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending to the Common Council to confirm the planning staff administrative approval for a minor adjustment to the Ardent Glen subdivision final plat signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We are still on this item. If someone would like to make the second motion. Commissioner Harrison.
I can make the other one. I recommend that the Common Council approve the final plat for the first addition to Ardent Glen to create 54 single-family and twin home parcels and 6 outlots.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Powers. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Posey.
I'll just comment that it's been great to see this addition coming to fruition for the city and for residents, and adding this extension to our community and all the new residents it has brought to our city.
Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending to the Common Council to approve the final plat for the first addition to Ardent Glen to create 54 single-family and twin home parcels and 6 outlots signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 7, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the certified survey map to modify 2 existing lots located at and east of 1079 American Way. Mr. Siebertson.
Thank you. So the applicant is requesting a CSM to modify 2 lots located in Liberty Business Park. So you'll probably remember, because it was fairly recently that this request was before us. A CSM for the project was approved in December of last year. And since then, it was discovered that the lot line would need to be adjusted to accommodate the building placement as well as some stormwater management requirements. So as a result, they're requesting the lot line between the 2 lots is adjusted further north. So you can see this is the proposed, so, and the yellow line is essentially where the previous CSM was, and so it's being shifted north to provide some more room in between the lot line and the building, which will allow for a drainage swale to be located there. There's still the plan, future phases would have Wisconsin Brewery expand into that Lot 2, but that's down the road. So staff recommends approval of the CSM as stated in page 4 of the case report.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Tejeri.
I have a question. What's the logic of 2 lots?
So initially, there were 3, I would say 3 lots on this overall image we have here. So lot 1 kind of went straight, you can kind of see the dashed line. And then,
Why aren't they just merging them into a single lot?
well, because while it's planned for future expansion, the future expansions aren't a guarantee. And so they want to, because it's not currently, Lot 2 is not owned by the brewery. It's owned by Levacy. So they're still, sorry, I should have made
Oh,
that.
that makes sense. Thank you.
I should have pointed that out at the
That's the
beginning.
reason right there.
But yeah, so if the expansion didn't go forward, they could always sell off that lot.
Perfect, thank you.
Other questions, comments, or motions? Commissioner Powers.
I'll make a motion that we recommend the Common Council approve the certified survey map to modify Lot 1 consisting of 3.4 acres and Lot 2 consisting of 1.7 acres located in the Verona Technology Park.
Motion by Commissioner Powers. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Hankard. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending to the Common Council to approve the certified survey map to modify 2 existing lots located at and east of 1079 American Way, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we move on to item 8, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the initial review for a 4-story apartment complex with 116 apartment units, 4,200 square feet of commercial, and 2 live-work units located at 511 West Verona Avenue. Mr. Severson.
Thank you. As the mayor said, the applicant has submitted a request for an initial review. You'll remember this property was before you late last year, early this year as well. So because that application was ultimately denied by the Plan Commission and the council, the applicant is seeking a revised request. Typically, if a request is denied, the applicant wouldn't be able to come back for another year unless there's a substantial change. And so substantial change was made to the application, and that's why they're back before us. The subject property is shown outlined in yellow. I'm sure you're all very familiar with that. The proposal includes 116 units of residential, including 24 units at grade, 4,200 square feet of commercial space fronting Verona Avenue, and an ATM drive-through. The underlying zoning district is suburban commercial and would not permit residential at grade. However, as part of a planned development application, a use exemption could be requested. In addition, the proposal would require a height and lighting exemptions, and additional exemptions may be required based upon the complete and full submittal. So still kind of figuring out the parking as the uses flux, so that review would need to be done as well. The proposed residential makeup is 93% studio and 1 bedrooms, with 7% 2 bedrooms. As of now, no 3 bedrooms are proposed. Staff has concerns over the lack of commercial space in the development. The underlying zoning district is suburban commercial, which has the purpose of preserving areas along highly visible road corridors for commercial retail and service uses. So this is the main conflict that staff has with it. It's basically going against our current comprehensive plan, as well as the definition of the zoning in the zoning ordinance. So, I mean, some flexibility is reasonable, given the depth of the lot. I think it's be tough to require commercial on the entire lot, but really looking for at least that frontage along West Verona Avenue to be commercial, given it's in a commercial zoning district. And just sort of a comparison, the lot is roughly 90,000 square feet, and only 4,200 square feet of commercial floor area is proposed. There is some additional live workspace beyond that, but staff doesn't necessarily see that as viable commercial space. Going into the live workspace, I think the city had considered approving some live workspaces elsewhere in the city, and ultimately those were converted into residential and never became actual live workspaces. So at this time, I don't believe we have any like true live workspaces that were actually like approved and operating. So, I mean, it's a unique concept, and it might work well somewhere else, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a flexible and adaptable commercial space as market demand shift. So the proposed ATM drive-through does meet the minimum required stacking. However, as designed, staff has concerns with circulation and potential conflicts with pedestrians and other vehicles. There were some, this isn't the original design, there was an original design to the ATM. Staff provided comments, and this was a modification made, which helps to avoid some of those conflicts with pedestrians. It just doesn't seem like it would work well in practice. Most likely, you're not going to have 2 cars getting that close to each other in a drive-through lane, so you probably have 1 car kind of sticking out the back into that drive aisle. It's just kind of one example. So the questions that staff, because this is an initial review, the questions that staff has for the Plan Commission are primarily 3 questions. Will the land use exemption be supported to allow ground floor residential units in place of commercial uses? 2, is the amount of proposed ground floor commercial floor area sufficient along West Verona Avenue in the suburban commercial district? And would live-work units on the ground floor be supported in place of permitted commercial units? And if anyone has any questions on like how parking would work, happy to answer those questions. But I think this is, because this is somewhat conceptual still, I don't have definitive answers on, does the parking shown meet parking requirements?
I got Commissioner Wood and then myself.
I guess my initial thoughts are, I like the idea of live work. I don't like it in this capacity. I think it's pretty clear that we want more traditional retail on West Verona, and 600 to 650 square feet feels more like a painting studio where you're not going to get people going in and utilizing it more as a retail shop. I would agree that the ATM does feel like a weird layout. I feel like it'd make more sense going north-south versus having to pull in and then go in and then weave back through. Just feels like a lot of unnecessary stuff. But, I mean, I'm okay with not having as much commercial on the first floor because so far back, you're not on the roadway, so I would be okay with having first 4 units there. But yeah, overall, I mean, I am supportive of the idea, but yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I'm sure more will pop up.
I have a quick question for the applicant, if they'd like to answer the question. I guess, who will what kind of professions would the work-live spaces be, and what would the target rent be, if you can say that this far out?
I don't know the target rent, but our plan to go off of would it be a successful space was to try to furnish these as much as possible. As far as users, we think the most likely would be like small office, like if you're an independent accountant or something like that, like someone who's looking for a small office space where they might need to touch point with somebody. There could be like a hair salon or something like that, but our thought is most likely an office space user. A little bit more context, the area behind the building in that corner, the corner can be tough to program. That's why we thought the live work works well there. Where you have parking on the commercial space on the back side and you're fronting West Verona, so you have like storefront glass on both sides. It works really well for like a core and shell commercial space. So we're trying to think a little bit more creatively about what we could do in the corner of the building or the elbow. So.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that answered my question. I guess, well, I actually love the idea of an artist studio there. Part of the reason I asked about the rent is because if the rent's market rate, there's no way an artist is going to be able to afford to actually have a studio there. And so, I mean, I really like the concept of the work-live studios, but we've had them in a different location, and they didn't work to the point where, the management company had tried to fill them, and they couldn't. Eventually, they came back to us and said, can we just make these apartments? And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but if I had to put money on it, I would say, like, if this got approved and got built, after about a year or so, it's like, hey, can we just make these apartments? They're not renting. And I think I'd rather just see it be commercial. I know it's potentially a difficult space, but I think it would get more to what the comprehensive plan wants for the area. I would be supportive of the land use exemption in question 1. With the understanding that I think there should be a little bit more commercial on the first floor. I guess then my answer to question 2 in the packet is I don't think it's a sufficient amount of commercial. I think there needs to be more of it. And like, again, potentially eliminating the work-live spaces is, to me, that seems like the easiest way to do it. And so, I mean, if for the live-work units, I would not support them for being permitted in place of commercial use. I would also like to say I don't like the ATM drive-through at all. I know they're lower impact than, say, like a Culver's drive-through, but I pretty much agree with everything that staff said. And I think, at least for what I think is a good use of this space, like any drive-through is fundamentally incompatible with this space. Like you talk about like downtown, like a downtown style development, stuff where you want people walking around, you want people from the apartments walking over. You can't put a drive-through in the middle of that. That's incompatible with how I think, or at least how I want it to be used. So I would, I mean, that's pretty much as close to a deal breaker for me, just having a drive-through in there. And then finally, this isn't on the agenda, so I'm not really going to comment on it. Just because no final commitments on this, but even if I were to support the changes from a land use perspective, that leaves the TIF agreement with the city unresolved, because this is not what was in the TIF agreement, and I'll just leave it at that. But anyways, those are my comments. Other thoughts from the Planning Commission? Commissioner Hankard, and then Alder Posey.
I guess this is a question for you, Lucas, and maybe you, Mayor. The city wants commercial along that stretch. Okay, I get that. But developers, I think, appear to have a different view from a market perspective, it would appear. Otherwise, they'd be giving you the commercial for which you asked. Are we being naive in this pedestrian dream of ours, or should we cave to market whims? I as a planning neophyte, I guess, or am just questioning that. Like, I would love it if people walked everywhere too. I'm that guy, but I don't know if are we being realistic? Are other communities finding the same difficulties? We seem to have some, and I know I'm rambling here, we seem to have some trouble renting these commercial spaces. And I know when you first came, you didn't agree with that. You said it takes time, and I don't disagree. So anyway, where do we sit on that continuum? Are we being crazy by asking these people to build commercial that's never going to get leased, or not? It's a broad question, and I realize.
I'll take that first. So while I'm not a developer, I've spent 20-plus years trying to fill commercial space. So I've had lots of conversations with brokers. A lot of my friends are brokers. Commercial spaces just take longer to fill. It's not like a residential space, especially when it's part of a mixed-use development. When it's not a standalone retail, so you don't have the big facade that you would if you were a standalone commercial space. So yes, retail or commercial as part of a mixed-use project, especially because the way mixed-use projects are designed, they're usually designed by residential developers, and they're just not always designed to be accommodating to commercial tenants. It's a beautiful building as designed, and the ones out there are nice looking, but they don't provide a lot of visibility for commercial tenants. There's virtually no sign area for those tenants. I'm not advocating for a large gaudy sign, but I'm just saying that's the retail environment that commercial spaces and commercial brokers are looking for when they're trying to find a location for their tenant. Also, in this area, in this stretch of West Verona, you've had how many buildings come online with commercial space over the past couple of years? It's a lot of inventory to absorb, and so I've seen some commercial spaces sit for 5 years in a great location because a multitude of factors, whether it be the landlord's charging too much, there's issues with a neighboring property. I've had issues where the landlord will only sign a 2-year lease. Tons of issues of why spaces aren't filled. But it's encouraging for me to see some of the other retail locations start to get filled up. The Mill District is getting close to being 100% occupied. You've got a great user right now in Sugar Creek Commons with the Bogey Factory. So it's tough to see storefronts sit there for a while, but it's just what happens.
All right.
You
Well,
just gotta be patient.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And for me, 1 year of I own commercial property, and 1 year of vacancy, sure. 5 years, that's I don't think anybody wants that. So anyway, given all of that, I will answer my bit here. I would support allowing the ground floor residential, and even allowing the workspace units to become what they ultimately will be, which is living units, and not focus so much on more commercial. I think we need more residential in this town and less commercial. So that's where I land there. The ATM, I think I agree, it's an odd place for a drive-through. I'm not a fan of that. So thank you very much.
Alder Posey, and then Commissioner Touche.
I'll kind of hit in bullet points, I think. So for that corner area, you were talking about design. I remember approving that live work change a couple years ago where they hadn't filled for a long time. So while great in concept, I don't think it works, at least not for our community currently. So I would be against that. The drive up, I deal with this regularly right now, and one of the issues with trying to stick a drive up in a location like this, larger vehicles, works great for, a small sedan, but when you're dealing with people who are driving trucks or who are driving a larger van, even a minivan, the turning radius to try and get in there, you're only getting one in at a time. So I would be concerned about having it in that location, also a coverage of some sort. They might want cover for that technology, so that would be another thing to consider, is there enough room there for that? So I would say probably not, and that would be something to look at there. One of the points that was made was a lighting exemption, which I would not be for. We keep working on light pollution in our community, so making sure that we can dim lights. Then the other piece was I did not see the maintenance facility. That was such a big part of this before that we kept talking about and going around and around on, and suddenly it's not here. So I'm kind of curious, is it in there and we're not seeing it, or
Mr.
is it
Stevenson?
gone?
To my knowledge, it's not in there, but we don't have plans for the basement yet, so I don't know, but the applicant's here.
If the applicant
you
would like
wanna-
to answer that question, yeah, because that was a piece that seemed to be had to be part of this design,
Yeah.
and now it's not there.
I would say there's not a 100% guarantee. If we come back at a future submittal, it's not going to be there. But in general, we had moved it underground. If it comes back, it will most likely be underground. But we're trying to listen to the, 10 gallons of water in a 5-gallon hat comment. In general, trying to simplify a little bit. So that's why it's not on this current concept plan. Not a 100% guarantee it won't come back, but that's kind of where it sits today.
So I would really recommend you guys, going forward, come with what you're going to finish with. Like, this is where we keep running into this issue, is it's like piece by piece, and then suddenly, like, it's a surprise. Oh, wait, I didn't know that. Was that in there? Like, if you want our feedback and you want the information from us, have the final plan from the beginning. And tell us, like, hey, this is what we're looking at. So all we're looking at are refinements. We get that from other developers. I don't know why this continues to be the issue that we keep having here. Because I'm looking at this, and even the commercial space doesn't have functional parking for residential and commercial there. Like, people can't quickly park, especially if you're looking at a financial where people expect to be in and out in a few minutes. Like, you've got an ATM there, and you're like, okay, financials are interested. Well, you've got 4 stalls. What other commercial is going to be there? Like, I can think of this stuff. Like, I would think that maybe a separate building pulled out, kind of similar to Mill District, and then if you want to do a residential on the same property, it's a separate building. Like, so that you can have appropriate parking, because there is no street parking here, and there's not going to be. It can't be done. So what are the things that can be done on this site? Because I would honestly, like, the statement of significant change, I don't see significant change. I know probably for planning purposes it is, but to the kind of layman's eye, it's just sort of like, okay, so they got rid of the event center and made it shorter, and then just changed some of the things around.
That was rhetorical, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then finally, just parking and traffic. So I would not be okay going forward unless the parking and the traffic flow get figured out. I mean, I am grateful to go every day to our now filling in Market 5 area, because it's just about full, but the parking out there is challenging on a daily basis. So we need to make sure that as we go forward with development of these commercial spaces, that we're ready to have them full and bustling. Because it's exciting to see it happening, but when it's bustling and then people can't find parking, gets to be a real problem. So, thank you.
Commissioner Trichet.
Thank you, Alder Posey. I appreciate all of those comments and can remember dealing with forward development for many years while I was on the council, but that's not why I'm speaking. I agree with the majority of Mayor Luke Diaz's comments on this property. ATM, fail. I think the lower floor should be all commercial. We should be consistent here. If it's a tough corner, it's a tough corner. Make it part of one of its neighbors. There's a lot of opportunity to have some space for possibly one of the tenants. The comment about TIF, I'd completely forgotten about that after being gone for a year. Roof, good luck getting through city council on that one. You know, in the end, I've been inspired to say more, but you know, in the end, your company comes to us with and reaches an agreement with us and then continually fails, slows things down, delivers poorly in what you bring to us. And it makes it really hard for the city to want to continue working with you as a developer. Here I am as a citizen. I'm not on council anymore. It's just my opinion. But if I ever have a say, we'd never do business with you again. That's all. Thank you.
Other feedback from the Plan Commission? Commissioner Powers?
Yeah, just to answer the questions and echo some of the comments. In terms of the ground floor residential units, I could see the back half of the building where kind of, I do think there's opportunity with that corner to wrap the commercial, which I think the whole frontage should be commercial, as well as some of the adjacent L there, I guess. So I could see some of it being residential, but definitely not to the proportion that is currently residential. The other piece around the live-work units, I don't support that on the frontage of West Verona Avenue. I could see it in the back of the building, towards the rear. I think that might be okay. It'll be tough with how the parking is laid out and the entrances are laid out, but I don't support it on West Verona. And then the drive-through, specifically an ATM drive-through. I just know what businesses that brings in, and I think I would not support the drive-through just to stop the businesses.
Other feedback from the Plan Commission? Commissioner Harrison?
I will just be echoing a lot of opinions, but with the ground floor residential units, I do think that we can just take out that live workspace and just put something commercial in there. I've been in a lot of buildings where they just have like an entry, like hallway where you can access that corner space. And they've had business just fine that way, and I think that might be a great thing to bring into this design. And then I think that we can have, like, I would support some ground floor units further back as well, but I think on West Verona Ave it absolutely should be commercial. And I don't support the live work units. And yeah, I think that answers all of them, right?
Yep.
Excellent.
Other feedback from the Plan Commission? Commissioner Wood?
This is kind of just unrelated, but kind of a sidebar, because I know having so much empty commercial always comes up with us. It is always easier to do it on the front end than the back end. So that's also, I would say, probably a reason why we're seeing so much of the commercial as well. It's cheaper to do it now.
Other comments or questions? I just did have one thing. I know it is difficult to get the commercial filled, but kind of in line with what Mr. Severson said, I'm looking at the market number 5 spot, and one of them isn't, Cider Farm is not fully moved in yet, but they're opening up soon, and it seems there's also another 1,200 square foot retail space open there as well. And I think, in line with what Alder Posey said, like, market number 5 is successful. It's hard to find parking, and that's how you know it's successful. It's like too many people want to go there. But it's not even 100% full, and it's kind of been out there for years. So some of the commercial stuff is really just like take a deep breath and have faith that it'll work out, which is not always a plan. But I mean, if people keep moving into the city, we're going to have a lot of residents, which means the commercial will get filled eventually. My 2 cents anyway. But other feedback from the Plan Commission? Commissioner Harrison?
Sorry, I forgot to add this. It's redundant, sorry, but I also think the drive-through is probably not a great idea. just for residents as well, just from, like, I could not imagine living in one of these buildings and having a drive-through in the parking lot. But yes.
Other feedback from the Plan Commission? Mr. Severson, was there any other feedback we needed to address?
No, I think that was helpful. I think one of the things that kind of came out of this through the discussion is like the possibility of having like an independent commercial building in front from a residential building. I don't know if there's any other thoughts from the Plan Commission on that idea. I mean, obviously, it would reduce the amount of residential that you could have, but it might make more successful retail. I don't know if the commission has any thoughts on that.
I guess I'd be open to it, but it's really hard to say without seeing what the design would look like. So,
Yeah.
I mean, as a concept, sure, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't commit further than that.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on separate buildings? Commissioner Hager?
I mean, it's anecdotal, but I think of Middleton, I drive by, if I see a restaurant or a store, whatever that I want to go into, to me, whether or not it's in a separate building or not, doesn't necessarily move the needle as to whether or not I turn in, but again, that's just me, so take that for what you will. I appreciate you trying to offer up anything that would help move this property along, though.
Last chance for any feedback, at least for now. All right, we are done with this item, and we will move to item 9, which is reports and comments from the planning department. Mr. Severson.
Yeah, thank you. So I do have an update on the comprehensive plan. We're going to have our first public open house April 22nd. They're going to do two public open houses to try and accommodate different parts of the population with different time constraints. So one during the day from 11 to 1, and that'll be at the Verona Senior Center, so kind of a more centralized downtown location, maybe getting some of the people that are working downtown, have the ability for them to kind of come over during their lunch hour. And then one in the evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and that'll be at the public library. We've learned that our Verona Public Library is quite popular. So we're trying to catch all those people that are going to be there already and inform them of kind of what we've learned so far. So kind of overall, the goal for this first open house is to tell people what we've learned so far based upon, data analysis, surveys, talking to people, learning about past plans and kind of almost getting ready to put towards a state of the city. So like something that this would lead to a document that kind of gives a good idea of kind of where we are as a city, and then from there we can start thinking of possible recommendations for kind of how we want the city to look like moving forward. So that's really the goal of this, and there'll be several stations throughout these rooms with the different topics, whether it be population growth or trends that we're seeing, we'll have some activities for kids. So hopefully people will be encouraged to bring their family if they've got little kids. So I know it's difficult to go anywhere without your kids. So having that opportunity hopefully encourages some people to attend. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Severson? Alder Posey.
How are we promoting this? I know I've seen pieces out in the Verona Press and elsewhere, but I'm just curious, particular to the open houses, how is that getting promoted?
Yeah, so we are promoting that through social media, through our newsletters, people that have signed up on the website to get updates. As you said, the Verona Press. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but Those are the, we're not doing a mailer. We could think about it. It hasn't, I guess, depending on who you talk to, it's either a good idea or a bad, bad idea, so it can go both ways, but it's not a bad idea to do a mailer, especially like, maybe, okay. I'll talk to you afterwards about that. You get some leads.
Other questions or comments? Commissioner Hager.
On that same thought, I thought we mentioned during one of the meetings that contacting like either HOAs or the apartment buildings, I don't know if they have a little HOA within them, and then let them do the dissemination to the members that are kind of into that sort of thing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. We do have a distribution list with like some of those,
I would-
more like the management companies than the HOAs, but yeah, so getting to some of the apartment buildings.
All right.
Yeah, we did that as a way to kind of increase responses to the survey, and that really helped once we reached out to some of those buildings. So, yep.
Commissioner Touche.
I'll just say, if I got one of these flyers, I don't know why I want to go.
Don't know why you would go.
Yeah, Envision Verona. Well, what does that mean? Is that like a product, someone trying to sell me something? I read this, and comprehensive planning is currently phase one. I mean, as someone who gets unsolicited marketing all the time in my job, this is really random. Hey, we are the city of Verona. We are trying to plan our future. What we would like your feedback. When I read this, it just really doesn't tell me why I want to be there.
Gotcha.
So there's my 2 cents.
More of like a,
Why is this important to me?
having-
You
yeah.
think about all the junk
Right.
mail we get in our mailbox,
right.
especially all the political garbage that we got all the way up till the election. It's just like, why does this really matter to me? And, I love the time and dates. I love the locations. That part I'll get. It's just, why should I go? Is this going to impact my neighborhood? Are there any specific areas that you're going to focus on in these discussions? Or, is it about the growth of our city? Is it about redoing the downtown? Is it about, West Verona Avenue? What's going to draw me there? Because, we've all seen this, and I've seen this for years. The people who show up at these meetings are the ones impacted. How does this impact me? You're not a marketing person, that's okay, I don't expect you to. This looks beautiful, but that's, I'm just looking at it from a citizen's perspective. And it's great, we talk about how to get it out, but great, I got it, I still don't know why I want to go.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair feedback, because, looking at it now, it's like, well, if someone shows up, what are they supposed to do or say?
Right. What can you expect when you go there? Hey, we're going to talk about what we're going to do. Obviously that's a lot more detail, but at least if I'm planning on going, I know what it's going to be like. Because, if someone's frankly a little shy or introverted, it'd be kind of awkward showing up, but maybe you care.
Yeah, and this is just like one of the things we put out. Some of the other ads are a little bit different, but that's a good point that you make. Yeah, having kind of a call to action, like why,
Well, it may not be emergency, but we always talk about, and we hear from people like, I didn't know this was coming, and this is a big surprise, I'm the last person to know.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you do have to pay attention. This flyer doesn't tell me what I need to pay attention to. I'm assuming you have an agenda for this event where you're going to talk about whatever it is. Maybe it's page 2 or the backside where, hey, here's our agenda, here's what we're going to talk about. This may or may not impact you. If you care, please show up. If you don't care, don't complain. We'll still get the complainers. I'm a complainer, I know. So I sound a little aggressive, I don't mean to, but I'm just trying to make my point. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hear you.
Other feedback on this one? Commissioner Harrison?
I think a call to action would be cool, but I also just wanted to commend the whole, like the last two sentences in here, like the events will be interactive with activities for you to inform the future of Verona. Kids are encouraged to attend. As like a parent with a young one, that's very welcoming and makes it so that it will be a lot easier for me to attend and like me to invite my friends who are also parents to attend that wouldn't be able to come to these. So I think that's really cool.
Commissioner Powers.
Not to pile on to the feedback, but both URLs take you to the same place. I think they're intended to take you to different places, one to the website
Oh.
and one to the survey, but they're both taking me to the survey.
Gotcha. Thank you. Hopefully this was a draft.
I do like the idea of like fewer words, like just a bullet points of, event will be interactive with kid activities, and then here's what the adults get would be useful.
Thank you.
Other feedback? We got Commissioner Touche, then Commissioner Haggard.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I've joined a number of, I'll say, Facebook groups and some outreaches from different city departments. I bet you if you ask nicely, they might post something on your behalf on theirs to get a wider reach. If you have anything, like the Verona Police Department's one that I can think of where I get
Oh.
notifications.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually like to know if something's going on that I should be alarmed about, things like that.
Yep.
Commissioner Haggard.
So for my work, I've been a part of, 100 of these meetings, like literally. Not really helped plan, but I've been to them, and we have struggled with the thing that you mentioned, which is how do you get people? I always said, you should advertise something calamitous, like we are going to build 50 million apartments next year. What do you think? Just to get, what is it that will get people to come out? Or like, we're finalizing the plan tomorrow, baby.
Buff everybody to
Yeah,
come
it's
off,
a
but-
Where's the pool going?
and it's only half tongue-in-cheek that I say this, because I don't know what it takes to get people to come out. But yes, and we talked about the locality issue, because you're right. If you're not on the front line, you don't particularly care. And so we talked about, I think, how to get a message to each area. Like for me, I'm right downtown, so if you want to talk about like something right there, then I'm very interested. If you want to talk something on the west side, I could really care less, quite honestly. And so, yeah, if anything, that would be my feedback, is to riff off of what Evan said, is to somehow expose enough front lines that everyone's like, oh, wait a minute, they're talking about something in my backyard, I better go.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can like NIMBY it.
If you know what you're going to be talking about, that's what you highlight. Because it's super generic. I mean, I get it, you're trying, and that's awesome, which I think is better than a lot of things, so.
Yeah.
Good luck, a lot of feedback for you.
If you ask my wife, yeah, planning, she's not really interested in what I do for a job. So yeah, I don't know what would make her curious about this, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's comprehensive plan. It is kind of general, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. So yeah, it's difficult to kind of spice it up a little bit, but
Do a third session at the bar. Like, no, kids not encouraged to attend.
Cocktails, brats, hot dogs.
I'll say that's an idea. It's an idea.
All right, well, unless anyone has anything else, we can move on to 9B, which is update on development projects.
No development projects, or no updates unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions? See none? Okay. We move on to item 10, which is adjournment. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
My last so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Touche. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Powers. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? And we're adjourned at 7:39 PM. Thank you, everyone.